Today on the Diz List, we discuss our fourth and final round of Diz List March Madness.
Welcome to the Diz List, the podcast that lists everything in Walt Disney World. I'm Nick.
And I'm Rob, and welcome to episode 91, where we discuss the fourth set of Diz List March Madness results. This is such a mouthful. The fourth set of Diz List March Madness results, finishing our preliminary rounds with Hollywood Studios.
Why did you write that?
Wow.
You wrote the script, dude.
I did. It's so much.
It hasn't been that much yet.
Here, let's simplify. Here's our fourth round, and if you've listened previously, you probably know what's going on. If you don't, I would honestly go back and start at the beginning and see who's won all these preliminary. Well, that's probably even more important next week when we get to the final round here.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the reality is that starting at the beginning is a good place to start. Isn't that what Willy Wonka says?
No, that's from Sound of Music.
Oh, that too. But I think he says it. I think he says it in Willy Wonka too. Like,
You might be right.
Anyway.
I'm not going to look this one up.
No, all right. So we don't make much of a secret about Hollywood Studios being our least favorite park.
I like it. I mean, there's not a lot at Disney that I really dislike. It's, we are literally a show of lists and ranking. And when we rank, they're at the bottom of our rank.
Yeah.
Not because it's bad.
There's the shortest guy on the best basketball team.
Yes.
And he's still taller than me. So,
yeah.
The rides here are pretty good. So this is a good list. It really is. And it was a fun one to watch.
I would truly say this was the most surprising for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Watching and voting along, I'm like, wow. Just to see where everything falls. And I think part of it for me was the matchups were very odd. I mean, I know that's the way it goes. I'm not saying that. I didn't
fake stuff.
No, I know you didn't. That's why they ended up the way they did.
I'm a little upset about some of the stuff, so I will talk about that when we get there.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm leaving the house, getting ready to go today.
Mm-hmm.
And I purposely waited to tell this story on the air because I wanted to get your reaction because you know my daughter.
Yeah.
So we're going this summer with my brother and sister-in-law. And
who I know. I know your brother fairly well, and I know your sister-in-law really well.
Right. So we're going, and we had talked about doing the dessert party again for fireworks at Magic Kingdom.
Good.
We had considered it. We had, we're looking into it. And then I remembered my son is an adult, according to Disney.
Yeah.
And the price has gone up for adults to do the party. Now, it went up because it provides alcohol. It doesn't matter that my son is 12. He's still going to pay the adult price. So I was like, I don't think this is worth it. We hadn't really discussed it with the kids at all, but I'm like, look, it's not that big a deal. Yes, you get a better spot for the fireworks, but you're really paying a lot of money for some okay desserts, some cheese, right? They do cheese, They do crackers, they do that kind of thing. But it's not, you'd have to drink an awful lot of Bud Lights or whatever it is they're serving in there to really balance out the increased cost.
So it's an open bar type situation. You go in and they just have
champagne,
Bud Lights on ice,
champagne, wine, and then whatever. I think it's beer and sangria.
Is it a tip your bartender type situation, or
no?
It's just there for you?
It's a buffet. So when you go, when we went there last time, they had beverages that were not alcoholic, and they were just out, right? They were like pre-poured glasses of champagne and stuff like that. They had bottles of Diet Coke and Coke. They had bottles of water, and they were just in a big tub of ice. I imagine it's something similar with the thing now. It's probably a little more controlled because you have to be 21 to get the alcohol, but I imagine it's similar. I don't know for certain.
Can I push a little deeper before you get to your point?
Yeah.
When you get there, I realize that it's an area that is closed off or fenced off in some way. Is there any portion that's undercover, or is it?
So I'm going to rewind.
Yeah, sure.
Are you talking about where you view the fireworks from, or
I guess both. In my head, I'm trying to picture where you are, where the drinks are.
Tomorrowland Terrace.
Okay.
So
that little eatery that they don't really use as an eatery.
correct.
Okay.
So in there is
Yep.
where the dessert party is. They have a buffet of desserts set up against the back wall.
Okay.
And then you're eating in there, and the upper part is inside,
Yep.
right? And then there is an outdoor literal terrace that is open air that you can buy two different versions of the tickets. You can buy the covered.
Just the dessert party.
Well, you buy the dessert party where you go into the lawn and the hub.
Yep.
Or the dessert party where you have a seat and covered by the terrace.
Oh, cool.
Those ones are more expensive, and I argue that they're actually a worse view. But if
Right.
there's any weather, you don't have to worry about that. And you have a seat. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to...
If there is weather, can you go undercover if you get the
No.
the lawn area? Okay.
No. So
All right.
it is not covered. You're just in the lawn area.
So I think I know what area you're talking about now. So if anybody has seen or done that super zoom picture,
Yes, it's exactly where it is.
okay,
Yep.
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So if you do that super zoom picture, they'll take your photo kind of near this area of the grass with the castle behind you, and then they zoom way out. And if you look at that photo, that area of the grass is where I pictured this part was.
Yeah,
But
it's-
then I thought in my head, and this is why I asked you, do they bring in like some kind of portable tent that they put things under, or is it open air?
No,
I
it's
didn't
open.
realize that it was. I know now that those are literally adjacent to each other, where that Tomorrowland Terrace Eatery is.
Yeah.
I think we've cut. If you cut through that, does it take you to the purple wall?
Yep.
Okay, I
Yep.
thought so.
So I do want to say that when the last time we did it, they were putting people, and I don't know if they still do, but they were putting people in both spots of the lawn. So they have that part, and then like on the other side, right across that walkway, there's another one. So they had both of them open. It's not a cheap experience, but it's a really cool experience because like you're not, you don't get to watch the fireworks that close and also not like be mobbed with people.
Well, you and I've had some horrible experiences with umbrellas and
Yeah. So you don't. I guess my point is that like, it's a good experience if you really don't want to have to fight with the people and also get an amazing view, but it's not cheap. And so we hadn't really mentioned that we were considering not doing it and that we were leaning toward not doing it until today to the kids. And my daughter was like, "What?"
she's a little sassy.
And then she looks at me, she goes, "It's Disney, Dad." And I go, "Yeah." She goes, "What else are you going to waste your money on? Who cares? It's Disney." And I was like, and you can totally hear her saying it.
I can.
And then she just looked at me, gave me the look like, "What are you talking about?" And then my wife, who was very much in favor of spending that money,
Yeah.
looked at her and goes, "I think we're going to have to get him a most expensive day ever shirt."
Your favorite.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty funny before I left today. I was like, I know what I'm talking about in the show opening now.
Are you going to be down there for your birthday again? Because that would be a good birthday present.
I'm going to be down there the day after my birthday.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's when we're getting there. You also got a really cool message you wanted to talk about that I think is awesome from one of our patrons.
Yeah.
And we've been trying to do this a little bit more often, which is read off some comments we get either from just listeners or patrons. In this case, this was a patron that reached out to us who's, I think he was reacting to one of our Patreon shows, right?
He was.
Okay.
No, I think this is in relationship to the bracket because it was.
Oh, he was explaining.
Moana. He was reacting to Moana versus Living with the Land.
Right. He was reacting to your take on you thinking that Moana's
superior.
to Living with the Land.
Right.
Correct.
But the whole discussion was this was part of the Epcot bracket show. Those of you who are like, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
So within our bracket show, we had Living with the Land was matched up against Moana, the new Journey of Water.
Yeah.
And my point was, I haven't done it yet. So we always look at sort of the statistics and say, okay, how many people have actually done this? And all the people who have done this, are they going to vote one way or the other? And it kind of skews the statistics, and we discuss this a lot. But I found this really interesting, so I'm going to read
go ahead.
what Mike wrote here. It says, I'll kind of paraphrase a little bit. He said he did it in February, and he's just about it, in quotes. He's talking about Journey of Water.
Yep.
But a cluster of small children and idiot adults. He goes, think of your Animal Kingdom story. on the trails and idiot adults blocking everyone, which I talk about a lot of times where I'll go on the trail and I want to look at the tigers and I can't because people don't have the awareness to think, I should only be here for a minute, take my picture, take a look, and move on. And they just park themselves in front of it. And then he said, it's hard to absorb in such a condensed space. He finds living with the land to have a bunch more enjoyable traits, including being able to have space and sit and not fight crowds, and in the summer, escape the heat. So he says, but, Journey of Water helps with the heat part too. But I found that interesting because Mike went recently. We actually did an interview with Mike on one of our episodes. It was on one of our Patreon episodes about his experience going on these new attractions. And it's kind of interesting and eye-opening because neither of us have, you went last summer, but
it wasn't open.
Right. But due to my Disneyland trip, I haven't been in a while either. So hearing about these new things I thought was really great too. And that kind of puts it in perspective a little bit. I'm not saying it's going to be bad, but if you look at that matchup, I'm curious what it's going to be like. I may, based on hearing what Mike said, I may avoid it if it's crowded and maybe come back at a more convenient time of day. And I know you can get sprayed, but you can also navigate it without getting wet either.
No, I don't think it's necessarily about the wet, like getting wet and whatnot. I do think I can totally see what Mike's saying as far as crowds and like people not being aware, right? And some of it is understandable, right? You get lost in the magic too as an adult, and so I'm not here to criticize people who are because it was built for everybody. So I'm not going to criticize people who are playing with the features. That's not an issue. The issue is that when it's really crowded, it can make it so that somebody who's maybe less comfortable kind of waiting it out or maybe pushing their way to the front, it makes it difficult for them to enjoy it fully. I've also seen pictures of where like things have broken down on it and like things don't work sometimes. Like the water wall that like is supposed to part when you walk through.
People getting soaked.
Well, I saw pictures of them blocking that way because it wasn't working. I think it was on, pretty sure it was on the YouTube. Mickey Views did a thing about it. And so there are some issues there. But, I'm excited to try it. I'm not shocked. that one beat or lost to Living with the Land because Living with the Land has a cult following. And I'm among that. I count myself a proud Living with the Land cult member.
I don't love it like you do, but I'm definitely a fan.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens when we we'll see what happens when we go down and we try it out.
Yep.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun, but I also think that there is a chance that it fails.
We're going to have a hefty amount of content this summer.
Yeah, we are.
Because you go in the beginning of July, and then we'll do a couple episodes afterward as your trip report.
Right, yeah.
Then I go at the beginning of August, and then August will be a series of my trip reports, which will be easier for you because that's when you start coaching soccer.
Yeah,
Nick is a soccer coach. Those of you who are new to the show, he coaches soccer for our local soccer team, girls soccer team.
Yeah, should be fun this year. You're gonna be able to watch your daughter's last year.
Yep, my daughter's on his team too.
So we're gonna head off to the halftime show. When we get back, we're gonna talk about Epcot. Hollywood Studios, and tell you all of the wonderful things that you guys picked. Which, by the way, I have some issues with some of you. So we will be discussing that when we get back. This week's halftime is brought to you by Russell B. So Russell, thank you very much for being a patron. We appreciate you and all of our patrons. You can support us by going over to patreon.com/DizListPod, and you can follow us anywhere, any social media at DizListPod. By the way, you can follow for free at patreon.com. But if you're a paid member, you get early access to new episodes as well as bonus content. So thank you, Russell B, and all of our patrons and listeners. But we're going to head off to the halftime show, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the results, the listener polls from our Instagram stories for Hollywood Studios. Hollywood Studios, like we said in the opening, not our favorite park, but probably houses some of my favorite rides.
Yeah.
I think that's a testament to the fact that I can be like when I talk about parks, I'm talking about
the general vibe in the
actual
area.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the attractions are fine.
Yeah.
I just don't like
Actually, the
Hollywood
attractions
Studios.
are really good.
Yes.
Look, I sound like a broken record, and I know this, but and I keep going back to my California trip, but people who've been there know that Disney California Adventure is sort of the Hollywood Studios of Hollywood.
I mean, it's not even sort of.
You know what I mean?
They literally took
like that. The way they made that and the way it's set up is the way Hollywood Studios should be. Like if they just looked at that and go, okay, how can we
copy paste?
Make the vibe better, and not even like Cars Land is awesome, and Avengers Campus is okay. Pixar Pier is awesome. Like it's not even about those lands; it's about everything in between. It's about maybe the trees and the big body of water. That's the part that's so cool, is having that sort of man-made, I don't even call it a lake because it's not that big. It's essentially like a giant pond.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you describe that amount of water?
Yeah.
And then they have the World of Color. That was very cool where they use the lights and they shoot up. Here's my point, and I don't want to get too off on a tangent about how great that park is because I love it. I think this is doable in Florida. And they're talking about, putting all this money into the parks and how can we make Hollywood Studios better. I think it's doable. I think they have awesome attractions. They just need to, instead of looking at, let's add this ride and this ride and this ride, maybe let's look at, hey, let's add to some other places, like what they're doing in Epcot. I think that's a great example.
It is.
The middle of Epcot, they're not really doing a ride. Listen, they just kind of like redid the middle.
I'm with you. The majority of Disney park devotees absolutely detest that we lost Epcot, the center of Epcot, for as long as we did, for some trees. I understand. Yes. Look, what I'm saying to you is you and I are unique in that stance.
Yeah.
You and I are unique in that stance. We are in a very small minority.
Right. And
most people absolutely hate it. And absolutely detest that they put money in for that. So I'm telling you that I get what you're saying, but it will not happen because they got absolutely roasted.
Well, and I'm probably even more of a minority because I'm a lifer with Epcot. I was there the year it opened. And now I'm like, okay, let's keep changing. Let's keep evolving. I mean, like I said, I don't have a problem with it. You take away my favorite attraction, Haunted Mansion, and make it something else or completely change it. Guess what? That sucks, but I don't hate Disney. There's so much other good stuff that I'm not, and there's a lot of news outlets that are very angry and negative about everything. And like, I think to myself, I'm not getting angry about it. This is my happy place. Just you roll with it. Like,
yeah. And to give Disney their due when it comes to Hollywood Studios, it was an operational studio.
Yeah.
And so
it was.
They're dealing with the infrastructure that was there.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to really get too upset about it. I do wish it was more navigable. It's not very easy to get around because you have to go out.
Clunky.
You got to go out to that one corner and then come back down the boulevard and then go out. So it is a little weird there. They've done a better job with it with Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land linking together and then coming through to the other side over by Indiana Jones. Speaking of which, Indiana Jones is our first matchup.
Sure.
So I'm going to get us back on track here. Indiana Jones versus Slinky Dog Dash. Now, I don't think I'm not surprised at the winner. I was surprised a little bit at the
number of votes that Indiana Jones got?
Yeah, the love for Indiana Jones. So it was 84 to 16% wise. And Slinky Dog Dash won.
Yeah, and that's the way I voted, but I also like to think that if I'm looking at the two fandoms, if I'm looking at Toy Story fandom versus Indiana Jones, I'm Indiana Jones all the way. But if I'm looking at a great attraction, it's Slinky Dog Dash. It's a smooth coaster, dual launch,
which is why the fact that it got 16% of the votes kind of shocked me.
Yeah.
Is it it's a
I don't hate the show. You hate the show.
I
don't hate it. It's okay.
Hate is a strong word.
You dislike it compared to the other entertainment.
I think it takes up a very large space for not that great of an entertainment.
Yeah.
When you go to Lion King, right? When they can put on a show like they do over in Animal Kingdom when you go to the Festival of Lion King.
Yeah.
and you compare it to the quality of the show you get from the epic stunt spectacular. I just don't see it as being as high a quality.
Well, yeah.
And that's not an insult to the performers. The performers are great. It's okay. Like if somebody said, I want to do it, I'm not going to be like, well, you can do it on your own. I'm going to go off and do this.
No.
But
it's a little bit of shade.
Yeah. It's just, to me, I was shocked at the 16% just because of how good of a roller coaster Slinky Dog Dash is.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on. This is a weird matchup because
I can't believe these two were matched up. When I saw this, I went, "Oh my lord!" Because I mean, I know one I chose.
So
but
this matchup is odd for a couple reasons. One, they are both really good rides. Two, they're like right next to each other. So in the first round, Rock and Roller Coaster was matched up against Tower of Terror, and
that's a crazy matchup this early on.
Tower of Terror beat out Rock and Roller Coaster 68-32.
Yeah.
I'm not shocked, and I think that number makes sense.
Yeah,
when you consider especially how frequently it's been down lately, the Rock and Roller Coaster.
Yeah.
When Tower of Terror was quote unquote down for refurbishment, it was only one half of it was down. So it was still open. It was just very long lines. When both elevators are open, you're talking a lot faster load times. It's definitely it makes sense to wait in the line now.
Yeah.
Before, you were seeing routinely 90-minute waits for Tower of Terror. I'm not waiting 90 minutes to drop a few floors.
Is Rock and Roller Coaster still currently being refurbished?
Oh, yeah. It's probably won't even be open this summer for me when I go, because I'm going the early part of the summer. Like I said, I'm going to say it right now. Rock and Roller Coaster will open after Tiana's.
After Tiana's with the new overlay.
I hope so. Holy cow.
That's not real, folks.
Holy cow.
That's just a prayer.
So Tower of Terror, 68% of the vote over Rock and Roller Coaster, 32%. I think that's right.
Agree.
Rise of the Resistance and Muppet Vision 3D. Look, this...
Both are great. And I mean...
This matchup's another crazy one.
Well, it's funny. And if you... If you are in the mindset you have where you get frustrated with Rise of the Resistance with the large amount of downtime.
Right, but I can't vote for Muppet Vision over Rise.
No, and
I can't.
No, I didn't either.
Apparently 16% of people can.
Well, maybe they haven't ridden it.
Or I think one of the issues is that Star Wars Rise of the Resistance may be, like we've talked about, it may be too thrilling for some people or for some young families. And the other thing is there are Muppet, like when I say Living with the Land has got a cult following, less cultish, but definitely Muppet. People who are Muppet fans are big time Muppet fans.
Oh yeah, I have a buddy from high school who's a huge Muppet fan.
I mean, they're great, and
I love them too. During COVID, my son and I went back and watched the original Muppet Show.
Yeah,
it was fun.
Is there any funnier duo than Statler and Waldorf? I don't think that Disney has a funnier duo that does that kind of stuff. Like the grumpy old men. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that there's not funnier people, but as a duo, the way and getting away with saying, and if you're gonna argue that they do, it's probably another Muppet duo.
Yeah.
With the Swedish Chef and Beaker.
Yeah. No, Bunsen Honeydew.
Bunsen Honeydew, sorry.
Yeah. But Swedish Chef, honestly, the new... I don't want to get too off on a tangent. Have you seen when they remade those newer Muppet episodes?
Yes.
Did you see any of the ones with the Swedish Chef doing the cooking with the celebrities?
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
My son and I were crying. We were laughing so hard.
I feel like they get away with more with the Muppets than they do with their own animated stuff.
Oh, my gosh. That Swedish Chef stuff was gold. Comic gold.
So not a shock, Rise of the Resistance made it through to the next round, beating Muppet Vision 3D.
Yep.
As you're reading through these attractions, you realize, Hollywood Studios is jam-packed with good stuff to do.
Just as a goofy environment.
The next matchup, for the first time in forever, a Frozen sing-along versus Alien Swirling Saucers.
Both are fun.
This one was one I was like, this is a toss-up in my head.
Nah, not for me.
Uh,
I think Frozen is better. Like the songs, it's really funny. They do the snow at the end.
They have the historians come out.
I think it's awesome.
I do too.
I guess
So
maybe other than Lion King, it's one of the best
man.
shows.
I don't know.
What else is better than that one?
Big Blue and Beyond, Nemo.
I haven't seen the recent one, but I would say it's better than the one that was there before. I would say Frozen's better.
Okay.
I mean, they have cool props in Nemo, but I like the songs. I like the humor a little bit better in the Frozen one.
Okay.
Huh.
Well, it won. So 65-35, it beat Alien Swirling Saucers. I think, it is a great one. I would have voted for. I did not vote on this round. I forgot to actually. I would have voted for Frozen. That said, this is not one of those ones where I'm like, I want to know. I want to hear from the 35% who voted for.
No, because
I'll tell you right now,
Yeah.
like for a kid ride, it's fun for parents to go on.
Oh yeah, we loved it.
It's a spinner ride that doesn't spin and make you sick. You know what I mean? To me, give me this versus teacups. I'm going to take this every time.
Yep.
But yeah, it lost out, and it makes sense. Frozen is a great show. I agree with you.
This next round, it was really interesting when this matchup came up because
They're both video games.
It's video game versus video game.
Yeah.
And in my mind,
I didn't do this on purpose, by the way.
No, it's the way that I saw the initial way that you did it, and it was totally fair. And this is just how it was ranked. But Toy Story Mania versus Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. Both are video games. One is fun, one is not. So, we say this a lot. What is the greatest part about Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run? The end of the queue where you can go in the Millennium Falcon.
Yep.
Nick and I were so pumped. We have our picture taken.
Yeah, we look like two little kids.
Oh my gosh. And I think our sons are in the picture with
Yeah.
us too. Just giant grins on our faces. Yeah. And that is great. But still, that alone does not make it better for me than playing Toy Story Mania, which is an absolute blast.
I'm going to tell you right now, they got it right. Toy Story Mania wins, and rightfully so.
By a lot.
Yeah, 83-17.
Yeah.
Toy Story Mania is a ride that I have to tell you right now. This is weird. It just popped up on the screen right as we said it.
We have a screen in the studio that's
currently playing a walkthrough of Hollywood Studios.
Yep.
I love that. I love it. I mean, look at that. This ride is just a lot of fun. The queue is amazing. The inside, the whole, I don't know. I think this ride is so far superior also to the other Toy Story video game ride. I think this is the one to go.
Oh,
Space Ranger Spin.
Yeah.
Between the two, I love this one. I will say, your wrist and your forearms might get a little tired.
Not as a guitar player.
Oh, yeah, I know. But yeah, I love this ride. It's great. Toy Story Mania wins 83-17 over Millennium Falcon. This next one, wow. I can't believe how close this was.
This is, I mean, one's an area, one's a show.
Yes. Okay, so this next one, I had wanted to get, we had said when we started this whole bracket thing, it wasn't just going to be rides.
Everything. We took everything from the park and...
Yeah, you should see the list that I sent to Rob to rank. And it was basically inspired by his son's episode where his son ranked things, and it was literally things. Like, what's your favorite thing?
Yeah.
And it was he named off things, not necessarily rides.
Yeah.
And so I put Galaxy's Edge in the bracket, and it's Galaxy's Edge versus Fantasmic, which is a weird matchup. I know. I am shocked at how close this was. So it's 53-47. The winner won by just that margin. I don't think you could predict the outcome. Would you have predicted this?
No, I'm a weird one here because Fantasmic is one of the few things that I have not done in all of Walt Disney World. There's very few. I can count on one hand, other than restaurants, of the things that I've not experienced.
I'll be honest with you.
One of them.
As a lifer like you would probably get emotional watching it.
Cool. I bet I'm looking forward to it.
Like if you're somebody who got emotional watching the short Once Upon a Mouse, what was that new one that just came out? Once Upon a Dream? No, I can't remember now. But the one that was just released on Disney Plus recently
Yeah.
to celebrate the 100th.
That Goldberg animated.
Yeah, so that particular one, if you were somebody who got emotional for that or like got all the feels, then Fantasmic is for you.
Yeah.
I've experienced Fantasmic and I've experienced Galaxy's Edge, and I will tell you, I was shocked that this came out this close. 53% of you said Fantasmic, 47% said Galaxy's Edge. If I had voted in this round, my vote would have went to Fantasmic. I think they missed the boat with Galaxy's Edge.
I didn't vote for Fantasmic because it's not something I've experienced. So again, that can skew some of the results on these.
True.
And so I'm part of the problem here.
No, you're good. Next one, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway and Star Tours.
That's a hard one. I'm surprised that this went the way it did because I really like both of them.
And there are people who absolutely despise that Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway took the place of
The Great Movie Ride. Yeah.
So there are people who like won't ride it because they are mad.
Well, I got to do the Great Movie Ride.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, you didn't. You started, right after.
I was too late.
They closed it. That was a cool attraction. Not gonna lie, it was great. But now it's something else, and now we go on the new thing. And I'm not gonna waste, my time getting mad about something I literally cannot change.
Right.
There's nothing I can do that will change that. So
I didn't think it would be this much of a blowout because of that feeling, but it was 82% said Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, only 18% Star Tours. That was kind of a shock. All right, you ready to to have me go off?
No, this is hilarious, this matchup. And again, listeners are going to go, yeah, right, this is all fixed. There's no way that these two went up against each other.
Oh, they did.
How on earth did one bar go up against another bar? So like there's another round now where there's two bars. I'll let Nick talk about it in a minute. I just want to say how crazy this is. Either of these two bars could have gone against any particular ride, and probably all the rides would have won. But Nick, what's our matchup here?
Olga's Cantina versus Baseline Tap House.
Probably two of your favorite places to go to get a nice, cool drink.
I mean, yes, but no. So here's my thing.
Yeah. Baseline did really well.
So here, I'm going to reveal the results and then I'm going to go off.
Yeah.
Okay. So 59% voted Olga's Cantina. 41% voted Baseline Tap House.
Uh-huh.
They got it wrong. 100%.
I know you were going to say that.
100% they got it wrong.
Well,
here's the thing. Here's what I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Olga's is go in, you've got 45 minutes, binge drink, just get the hell out.
Yes, we did. Those drinks were strong.
It's go in, spend all this money on all this stuff as quickly as you can, and do it before you regret it. That's part of it. If you are lucky enough to sit at a table, you also are unlucky enough that they're going to sit you with another family.
Yeah.
Because they just pile people in there.
Yeah.
There's not really any food to speak of. There kind of is food, but it's rush. And when I think of like a lounge, I think of lounging. You know what I mean? Olga's Cantina is a lounge, and Baseline Tap House is a lounge. And so the difference between the two for me is that when I go to Baseline, I feel relaxed.
Yeah.
It's a great spot to people watch.
Olga's is high energy. The bartenders are very high energy.
Oh, they're great at their job.
DJ Rex is jamming the tunes. It's not a relaxing place, but of the two, I like the theming, and I picked Olga's for that reason, which I know is not what you chose.
No, yeah,
I prefer a fun, wild experience, whereas I know you obviously went Baseline Tap House because you like to just chill and have your drink and relax, and I get it. I'm not going to argue that at all. But I went Olga's on this one because of the experience.
I wonder how many people have not actually
experienced either
or have not experienced Baseline.
Well, maybe
because
what's the percentage of people that just guessed and picked one because they haven't experienced both?
I'm sure there's that too. But so Baseline, for me, like the food you can get there, the drinks are great. I'll spend the same amount of time at Baseline and not feel rushed.
Mm-hmm.
Like I might only be there for 45 minutes. When you go to a place where they're telling you, hey, your ticket says 12:45. You have to be out of here by 1:30.
Uh-huh. You're rushed then. That's fair.
That's like, and when stuff is like $15, $16, $17 for a drink that, yeah, it's strong, but it's also tiny.
Yeah, it was.
And I wasn't in there to drink a beer. Like I didn't go there to have like their crazy beer coming out of the tap system. It looks like it's coming out of the
IG-88's head.
Yeah. Like,
yeah, that's a Star Wars reference.
But it also looks like it's draining that thing that the frog is in or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But I was upset by this, but that's because I love Baseline. And if I'm really being honest, maybe I'm the weird one here. So I think that they got it right. That was like a complete 180, right? If I'm being honest, I think
not. I didn't expect you to say that. Honestly,
I think what helped me was you said that you liked it because of the experience.
Yeah.
And I suppose since
It's
this
themed.
is about attractions,
Yeah.
But Baseline's superior for a drinking and relaxing experience. But
and you've talked about it a lot before, and you've sold me on it. It's again, let's end with the beginning where it's just very interesting and I won't say ironic because it's not technically that, but we'll just say it's funny that's how the matching or the matchups came out. Where coincidental it's two bars against each other.
Yeah, it was definitely coincidental, but like and like I said, Baseline's amazing. You need to go to Baseline if you've never been. But if you have been to Oga's, you know what I'm talking about feeling rushed. I would definitely go back to Oga's. I think it would be better if I would like Oga's for me if it was like a sit down experience with food. And I would deal with the fact that it's chaotic.
Yeah, there's not much food available there.
No. And I would like Oga's better if I could go there regularly so I didn't feel like I had to rush through stuff because I wanted to try all the stuff. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It is what it is. So now we're on to the second round.
The Elite Eight. You called it that last time, and I forgot that that's a thing.
Yeah. The Elite Eight.
We're not quite there with actual March Madness, but
no, we're working our way to the Sweet 16, real March Madness.
Yeah.
So we have Slinky Dog Dash versus Tower of Terror. I'm going to go through, read them all. Slinky Dog Dash versus Tower of Terror. Rise versus Frozen, the sing-along. Toy Story Mania versus Fantasmic. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway versus Oga's. Let's start at the top of the bracket with Slinky Dog Dash versus Tower of Terror.
That's a hard one.
Obviously it's hard because the spread is not very much.
Nope.
But I was shocked. I personally enjoy the one that lost more than the other one. Okay? But, and I don't think this is a recency bias. I don't think this is you haven't been on it. I do think that it's a classic ride, and so people love it.
This is a hard choice for me.
Yeah.
I know what I chose, but
so Slinky Dog Dash versus Tower of Terror. Tower of Terror won 55-45.
Yeah. I chose Tower of Terror.
Yeah,
this is a tough matchup. I mean, you get to this point, it's good versus good.
Yeah, they're both good. I don't think they're wrong. No. I was a little shocked that it wasn't Slinky Dog Dash because it is a really fun roller coaster.
Yeah.
But the other thing to remember is that Hollywood Studios fans are fans of thrill. And if you're going for thrill, Tower of Terror wins.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally understand that. I just was a little bit shocked. Slinky Dog is one of my favorite roller coasters. Part of that is sentimentality and like the whole like, it was one of the first roller coasters my kids went on, and like
it also just looks incredible. I mean, it's on the screen in the studio right now. I'm looking right at it.
Yeah,
look at those colors. It's so bold and bright, and
it
just looks incredible.
It could use a refresh. Last time I was there, some of the outdoor stuff was definitely not.
Well, look at you can see the track here.
Well, the track, that's normal.
The paint's worn off. I know, but you can see it. Look how close you get to the track.
Yeah, that's cool.
If people are that close to the attraction, you should probably touch it up if people are going to see it on a regular basis.
Yeah, but the rails, I don't think there's a way to really keep that perfect. But either way, Slinky Dog Dash goes down 45-55. Love this ride. But Tower of Terror, also an amazing attraction.
Yeah, it's hard to
And it's classic, right?
It's hard to say people are wrong because it was really close and both
Now
are great attractions.
Here's a question. People absolutely lost their mind over the Splash redo.
Mm-hmm.
Would they be equally upset over the redo of Tower of Terror? Because they weren't in
California.
In California, they weren't.
No.
So would they be equally upset if they said, "Okay, no more Tower of Terror. We're going to make it all the same"? Now I know they can't. I'm trying to make a point here.
No, they can because it's Guardians of the Galaxy, and that is not under the
That's
control of Universal Studios. So they could if they wanted to, but it would make 2 Guardians of the Galaxy attractions. So I would say, if I'm looking at that, I would say people would be less upset because Twilight Zone is not a Disney property. And at least with Splash Mountain, it was based on a Disney property, although it's changed because there is, some racial stuff.
But ding, ding, ding. You just said it. So my thought is that the reason people are upset is that they don't like looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
That's my thought on the Splash. But anyway, the Tower of Terror definitely is a great attraction. I will say it harkens back to a time when Disney really cared about sightlines because on the back side of it, you can see Tower of Terror from Epcot.
It's painted like Morocco.
Yeah, but it blends into Morocco, so I think that's kind of cool. Now that they don't care as much about sightlines, I wonder if they'd be more apt to change it over to the Guardians. But who knows?
They could.
Next up.
Or something different entirely.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Uh-huh.
Completely fresh idea. Like Toy Story 5. Completely fresh.
Or make that the Muppets.
Or Frozen 18.
The elevator breaks in the
oh my gosh.
Muppet Hotel.
That
could be funny.
Do a whole Muppets area over there.
Gonzo takes over and says, Gonzo is your elevator operator,
oh
and
my
he
gosh.
goofs everything up.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, Rise versus Frozen Sing-Along.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are 2 totally different, iconic franchises.
Yep.
With 2 totally different fan bases.
Well, to be fair, 2 of the biggest franchises in history of entertainment.
And the 2 of them draw 2 different populations. I kind of expected this to be closer because of that different population stuff.
Yeah.
But Rise absolutely destroyed Frozen Sing-Along, 88-12.
Well, and again, the sample of our voters and our listeners probably are going to be, teens, parents, middle-aged. Probably for the majority, you're probably not going to get a lot of kids who are using Instagram and listening to our podcast. I could see the voting being different if it were, more of the younger crowd, probably. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that could be that. I do think also that some of it is just that people were objective here and said, yeah, I love that. And I don't, personally I like this better, but you know what actually is better is kind of like where I pulled a 180 with Ogas and Baseline.
That's fair.
So not really shocked there. I don't really have a ton to say about Frozen that we haven't already said. So I'm going to move on to the next matchup.
Sure.
Toy Story Mania versus Fantasmic.
This one was closer than I thought it was going to be.
Not me.
Really?
I've seen Fantasmic, dude. It's phenomenal.
Wow.
It's phenomenal. It's name another nighttime spectacular at a park where you can sit down. Like, and you're meant to sit down. Not that you can sit down, but you're meant to.
Yeah, can't answer that.
Yeah. So
yeah, I try. I was actually.
I mean, we sat
scrolling
down,
through my head.
We sat down at the Epcot one for a while because where we had our tickets. Not tickets, our
but
seats.
That's not an official seat.
Right.
Like we sat on the concrete.
Right, but it's in that amphitheater kind of thing between the 2.
Yeah.
Was it? It was called the Gateways to Americas. It's not whatever the heck they're called. Yeah. So Fantasmic 34%, Toy Story 66%. Toy Story Mania wins. Fantasmic. If you haven't seen it, you need to. So that's your homework this summer.
I'm working on it.
Then the next matchup, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway versus Oga's. So a kids attraction versus a bar. Honestly, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway destroyed Olga's 90-10.
Yeah.
This is correct. I'm not upset about this at all.
And again, I'm going back to the data. I think there's probably a lot of people who haven't experienced that because it's not a lot of people can get in there. You have to, book way in advance to be able to get into that place. So, I'm sure the majority of our listeners have done Mickey and Minnie. So I think that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a great ride.
Oh, definitely.
So it sets up the final four at Hollywood Studios: Tower of Terror versus Rise, Toy Story versus Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, Toy Story Mania.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you right now, if you had told me a ride from the Toy Story Land was going to make the finals or make the final four, I would have told you it was going to be Slinky Dog Dash. The fact that it was not just shocked me. So early on in the week, not early on, but this was, what day was this? This was
Wednesday.
Wednesday. No, it's Thursday.
No, it's Thursday because Wednesday was the first round.
Well, check the timestamp.
I'm looking.
Rob's holding up a picture to me because
Thursday at 8:00
in the
PM.
morning. PM. Okay.
Yep.
So
near the end.
the Tower of Terror versus Rise was the closest we've ever had. Like, I'll be honest with you, I make these posts before it's done because I know because you can tell, like I can see the numbers and I'm ready to just hit send and post. I couldn't with this because Rob's holding a picture right now that says 50-50. Tower of Terror, Rise.
Yep. I've never seen it 50-50 for anything we've done.
Not that late. Like I've seen it
Not that
50-50 when
late
you're the second vote.
Not that close.
I'm going to pull up the actual numbers.
Sure.
But it was, you want to talk about a nail biter? Like, it was the definition of a nail biter. I was quite shocked that it was that close. And
I can't even tell you who I voted for here. I don't even remember because it doesn't say. Because
So-
I had to have voted in order to see the results.
Right.
I can't remember who I even voted for.
I can pull it up.
Well,
I can see what everybody voted for.
You can tell me. It doesn't matter either way, but you're bringing up total votes for each one?
I'm just going to say that this ended up coming down. Now, my own wife voted Tower of Terror.
Wow. And she hasn't gone on it.
Yes, she has.
Oh,
she
she
went
did?
with us. She went with us. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because my daughter took... That's right. She did go with us.
You voted Rise.
Okay. I could... Honestly, you tell me one or the other, and I'd go, okay, I like them. That's why this is so crazy. I like them both. It's a lot.
This is separation of 4 votes.
Wow.
4 votes
Oh.
separated this.
Sheesh.
Rise of Resistance moves on to the next round
Wow.
by 4 total votes.
That's crazy. Well, that's why I took a screenshot of it. I'm like, this is...
It was going back and forth. At one point, it said, because I pulled it up, at one point it said 50-50, and there was a vote, there was 1 vote more. Like, it was like, they were, I think at that point, Rise was winning by a vote. But it said 50-50 because we had that much participation, but 4 total votes.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, what? 4 votes. I could have swung this whatever way I wanted to by just telling one of my classes to pull out their phone.
Yeah.
All right, you guys are allowed to use your phone today. Go to Instagram and vote on this.
Yeah, we have a no phones in school policy unless it's related to what you're doing in class. Like photography, we occasionally do it. In your class for statistics, you would occasionally do it. It depends on the class.
So 48-52, Rise of Resistance wins. And this was a tough choice.
Oh, definitely. And like I told you, I don't even remember which way I voted, and I like them both.
You want to know something?
Yeah.
If Rise worked all the time, I think it's a blowout.
Yeah, could be.
If Rise works all the time, I think it's a blowout.
Yeah.
But
both rides feature drops also.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I couldn't believe how close it was, and I'm not gonna lie to you. The next one wasn't really that much different. So it looks like it's more, but that's just because as 1% goes up, the other one goes down. So the next matchup is Toy Story Mania versus Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
Mm-hmm.
Now this was separated by a few more votes, but not that many. It was 13 votes total difference.
Wow.
Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway got the championship.
Wow.
Not championship, but got to go to the championship.
Yeah.
Toy Story Mania. First of all, I'm shocked that it made it that far, and I was even more shocked that it made it this close.
Yeah.
But it's such a fun ride.
Yeah.
And
they both are.
It goes to show you that you can do a video game ride and have it be fun.
Yeah.
Not Smuggler's Run.
Yeah. Another video game ride that is exhausting, kind of like this one, is that Spider-Man ride.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That's also exhausting because you're just keep shooting the web shooters over and over. I mean, it was cool, but tires you out. It's the same thing with Toy Story, but
yeah, this one was, like I said, 13 votes. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway made it to the ship.
I'm gonna tell you another reason I like Mickey and Minnie's that I haven't mentioned yet is I'm always a big fan of a ride song. A really good original ride song. And this has it.
It's a great song.
Their song on this is awesome. And it sticks in your head and it's great. I think Disney needs to lean in to that a little bit more. But, to argue my own point that I just made, they're doing a lot of stuff that's original IP and the songs already exist. So you can't really always put in new material. But Mickey and Minnie... we write a song for them.
We did a show years ago. Well, actually, probably is years ago now.
Could be.
We did a show early on that was about songs.
Best ride songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was definitely up there. I can't remember where it was, but yeah. Nothing Can Stop Us Now. That song's wonderful. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't get, it kind of gets stuck in your head, but it's not an earworm like Small World. And that's not to take away from Small World, but I'm just saying it's not that bad of an earworm. But look, this is up a final that I just could not even when you name off the rides at Hollywood Studios, you start to realize how bad the rest of the park must be that this is my lowest park.
Yeah.
Because
there's so many quality things.
There's so many good things there.
Yeah,
But
and your favorite park, Epcot, doesn't have as many.
So it goes to show you it's about
awesome.
It's about atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's all about the atmosphere. All right. So are we ready for this? The finals. Rise of the Resistance versus Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Now, Rob, in weeks before, you've done it at least once. So we're going to do it today. I want everybody to stop, think,
and
go ahead,
say it out loud.
Commit to the one you want.
Say it out loud. Is it going to be Star Wars or Mickey Mouse? Who's the winner here? Star Wars or Mickey Mouse? Okay. Did you say it out loud? A couple people are still not saying it.
Yeah. I'm looking at you. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
They said it. Okay, now you can move on.
Okay. So, the winner of Hollywood Studios, much to my chagrin,
not to mine,
was Rise of the Resistance.
Oh, I love it.
Rise of the Resistance.
I'm happy.
63-37.
I'm happy.
I'm going to be honest with you. This one was more of a blowout than not blowout, but larger gap than I expected. Yeah. I think Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is very well done. If I'm going to be completely objective, I have to say that Rise is a very special ride when it works. And so if I strip away experience and I think about ride and what it's intended to be, Rise is better. Mm. In my experience, I prefer Mickey and Minnie's, but that's because of how I, what I've experienced. Mm-hmm. When you get B mode, Kylo Ren,
which you've had a lot, I have not. So that also changes perspective on everyone too.
When you get ushered through the entire queue, so you're automatically coming into the the stormtrooper room.
And we've ridden it the same amount of times probably with our trips that we've gone on. I would say probably the same, and I've never experienced that, and you've experienced it probably more than half.
Yes, I've ridden it 5 times, 6 times.
Probably me too.
And three of the times were not the full experience.
Yeah.
I've only ever got I've gotten the full experience twice. So I think it's 5. I wrote it. The funny part is, so because we've been talking about listeners and stuff, writing in, and I wanted to mention that during this one, because those two were matched up, I had a listener reach out, and the listener was talking about how they were going on a trip and they haven't experienced either of them yet.
Either of those two?
Right.
Rise and Mickey's?
Correct.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
They're
both new attractions. That's a good point, too.
Yeah. So reached out and said, we're going in April and can't wait to ride both of these rides for the first time. That's so exciting, though, for somebody, right?
Definitely.
If you have not ridden these two rides, and I wrote back, I said, they're both fantastic. I hope Rise is fully operational. And I realized after I said it, man, I shouldn't have said that, because that kind of puts a negative spin. And then I said, you're going to enjoy it anyway. So Kelsey, I didn't mean to like say, put a damper on things. I really did mean for it to be like, I hope you do, because I hope for everybody that they get the fully operational Rise.
Yeah.
How exciting of a trip is that going to be, though? Right? Because guess what? If you haven't done those two, there's a strong possibility you haven't done Cosmic Rewind. You haven't done Remy's, unless you never go to Hollywood Studios, because there are those people who go to festivals. They do Epcot, maybe they do a Run Disney thing, and they go. And I don't really know what Kelsey's story is as far as, how frequently she goes.
Yep.
This is her first time reaching out to us, but that's so cool, right? Because when you think about it, if you're going and you're going to experience these two for the first time, you probably are going to have Cosmic Rewind for the first time. You're probably going to have Remy's for the first time. And the other thing is, now she didn't say that it was their first trip ever, but it could be your first trip ever.
Yeah.
And think back to when you you can't, but I can. Think back to my first trip ever. And it's like, man, you're in for it. It's so much fun.
Well, I'll look at it this way then. I look forward to doing new attractions when I go. I have not done Tron.
Oh, you are.
I'm just thinking new stuff here. So
you're
like
gonna
Phantasmic,
love Tron.
I'm not counting. Tron and Journey of Water are the two newest things, and we could count that Center Park area of Epcot, which I'm really looking forward to enjoying and walking around and
walls
spending
are down.
time in. Yeah, because it's been a long time since I've been able to walk through that center area of Epcot.
I like what they've done over there personally. I love the Creation Shop. I think that area is good. I'm excited to see them with the walls down. Hollywood Studios, really, I think that as much as we, like I said, we hate on it, the reality is that it does do a good job of when they expand, they do a good job with it, right? Galaxy's Edge, I know they missed the boat a little bit, but they're not horrible, right? I don't think Batuu is horrible. It's not what you want, right?
I know what I want.
I know.
Yeah, it's not that.
I know. And I think they could have leaned in a little bit more into in movie stuff.
Yeah.
But at least they were trying. Toy Story Land, that part of the park is amazing.
It's just
awesome. The boulevards. The boulevards need something, and I think there needs to be more around what the heck do they call that area? Is it Crescent Lake?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Where Gertie is?
Yep.
Okay, so I think they need to do more there. A la DCA, like you've said.
Mm-hmm.
So I was excited about this. Now, this sets up a very interesting situation. As you are listening to this, folks, this is definitely at least Wednesday, because this comes out on Wednesday. Unless you're a patron, in which case it's Tuesday. But on the very first day that this episode releases, on episode drop day, Wednesday, March, what would that be? Wednesday, March...
oh boy, you have your calendar.
Yep. Wednesday, March 27th. On Wednesday, March 27th at 8 a.m., around 8 a.m., I'm going to post the Final Four bracket. The Final Four bracket being the winners from Epcot, Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, and Animal Kingdom. You want to recap for us?
Specifically,
Yep.
It will be, I'm looking right at it, it'll be Big Thunder from Magic Kingdom.
Yep.
Versus Flight of Passage from Animal Kingdom.
Yep.
That's one bracket.
It's the Kingdom side of the bracket. Yep.
And the other side of the bracket, what we just did today, we have Rise of the Resistance, and that's going to match up against Cosmic Rewind.
Yeah. This is going to be bonkers.
It's going to be awesome.
So I am going to release those.
So there'll be 3 total votes.
Right, because Wednesday, when I release that, you're going to vote on the final, like who's going to the finals.
Yep, a 2-on-2, another 2-on-2.
Right.
And then whoever wins those
on
the day after.
On Thursday.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
We're going to play the finals.
Mm-hmm. So this is big.
Yep. And
Patreon people listening early, just know that
it's coming.
That's our schedule when it's going to go.
Yep. And it's going to be when it's up. Basically, what's going to happen is I'm going to take and we're going to run it for 24 hours. Then next week's episode, the opening, we're going to reveal the actual champions. I'm excited for this because those are some big rides. I mean, obviously they're the champions of their brackets.
Oh yeah.
I'm not even going to venture a guess as to who wins this, but
I am.
Okay.
I'm saying it out loud in my brain.
Okay. I was going to say, don't venture a guess like vocally.
Well, maybe
don't sway people.
Maybe this is one of those moments where we ask the audience to say out loud who they think is going to win it all. Big Thunder, Flight of Passage, Rise of the Resistance, or Cosmic Rewind. Say it out loud.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Those are some epic rides.
Yeah.
And I honestly am really stoked to figure out how this all ends. And you all will figure it out next week when we open the show. We're going to tell you.
Yep.
And we're actually going to be recording it the day after the finals vote. The finals vote will end that morning, the day we're recording, because we're recording early so that we can have some fun on our spring break. But thank you so much for following along during this Disney Park March Madness. I hope you guys are having fun. I hope your brackets aren't busted, your real brackets. When you're listening to this, the Sweet 16's starting tomorrow. Hopefully your real brackets aren't busted. And if they are busted, I hope that you're enjoying it anyway. And I
took advice from our listener friend Mark, and I went with his favorite, so I'm still in.
Yeah. Yeah. All my Final Four is in, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I did not have Yale on my on mine.
I just did a little wager on the winner. I didn't do a full bracket like you guys did.
Yeah.
I'm trusting my friend Mark is going to be right about the winner.
So hopefully your brackets aren't totally busted, and hopefully you guys at least have enjoyed this bracket. We had a lot of fun doing it.
Oh, this is a blast.
We learned a lot about how we're going to do it next time.
Yeah. Got a lot of positive comments.
Yep,
a lot of feedback. People saying they love listening to it. I do too. I love going over all this stuff. This stuff's so much fun.
I think it'd be fun to do one about like resorts too, because there's enough stuff we could do with resorts as well. So we could do some fun stuff there as well.
Maybe it's May Madness.
May Madness.
There's some alliteration and it makes sense.
So look forward to doing some more of that. But we will also next week be getting back to our typical format. I think we're going to try to find something fun to do a little ranking of. Mm-hmm. But it's been a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow's just a list away.
Tune in next time, and we'll see you real soon.